of the Always Believe House. Oh, we're about to have FUN, fun, because we're going to find the value to systems of equations. Oh, we're going to graph two lines and find out where they intersect. So a magical whiteboard appears, and let's get started rocking and rolling on these. The first thing you got to do is solve them all for y. So that's what we're going to do, and then we're going to go back and graph just one of them, okay? So I'm going to zoom in on these, and what we're going to do is we're going to go through and solve all of these for y. That's what you'll graph. So on this one right here, that's what you'll graph, y equal 2x. On this one right here, remember, if you move something across, it will flip. So this is going to be y equal negative x plus 12. So we'll graph y equal 2x and y equal negative x plus 12. Let's go to number 2. Okay, we have to move the 1 across, and this 3 will go on the bottom. So we're going to get y equals, the 1 goes across, the x doesn't change, and the 3 goes on the bottom. That's what I'm going to graph. On this one right here, the x goes across, the 2 goes on the bottom. So I'll have y equal negative x plus 9 all over 2. Remember, you put the x first and then the number, okay? Number 3, this is the correct form. So y equal 2x minus 5. On this one right here, remember the x flips, the y goes on the bottom. So we're going to get y equal negative 4x plus 7 over negative 1. And this is what we'll graph on the calculator in it. Let's go to number 4. The x flips, the y goes on the bottom. So y equals negative 2x plus 12 over negative 3. This one right here, we got to move things to the other side. It's solve for x. So the 1 will flip and the 4 goes on the bottom. The x won't change. So we're going to get y equal, we're going to write down the x, the plus 1 flips, and the 4 goes on the bottom. That's what you'll graph, okay? Try to get the hang of this. Try to pause the video, see if you could go through these and see if you could get them right. Number 5, this is the correct form. I don't need to change it. On number 5, the x flips, the y goes on the bottom. So y equals negative x plus 10 over negative 4. Remember, all we're doing right now is solving them for y, then we're going to go back and graph it and find the intersection point. Number 6, the x flips, the y goes on the bottom. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, so we're going to get y equal negative x plus 2 over negative 1. So if there's a minus in front of that y, remember it's a minus 1 in it. On the next one, the x flips, the y goes on the bottom. So we're going to get y equal negative 4x plus 11 all over negative 3. That's what you'll graph, okay? We got 6 more to do here. So on number 7, the x flips, the y goes on the bottom. So y equals 2x plus 14 over 3. The x flips, the y goes on the bottom. Y equals negative x plus 7 all over 2. Very simple stuff. On this one right here, the x flips, the y goes on the bottom, doesn't it? So we're going to get y equal negative 6x minus 4 over negative 1. On this one right here, the x flips, the y goes on the bottom. Y equal negative 2x plus 15 all over 2. Fun. Number 9, the x flips, there's nothing in front of y, so we're just going to get y equal negative x plus 1. There won't be a fraction. On the next one, the x flips, the y goes on the bottom, that's a negative 1 in it. So y equals negative 2x minus 2 over negative 1. And number 10, the x flips, the y goes on the bottom. Hopefully you're getting good at this. So y equal negative 5x minus 11, not plus 11, minus 11 over negative 3. This is right here, the x flips, the y goes on the bottom. So y equals negative x plus 2 all over negative 2. Fun. 4 more to do. The x flips, the y goes on the bottom. So we're going to get y equal negative x plus 3 over negative 1. Fun. The x flips, the y goes on the bottom. Y equals negative 6x plus 13 over 4. Remember, the number in front of y will not flip, just the x flips, or whatever number you move over. The x flips, the y goes on the bottom, so y equals negative 2x plus 16 all over negative 1. And then on the last one, the x flips, the y goes on the bottom, so y equals x minus 8 all over 2. Now then, I'm going to go back up here, zoom out some so you can get this, and I'm going to graph this problem right here. So I'm going to graph these 2 points and then find the intersection point. The intersection point will be on the side. So let's get going. Okay, so I'm going to go to the graph. I'm going to click B, and then I'm going to hit Tab, and then I'm going to find out what I'm going to graph. I'm going to graph 2x and negative x plus 12. So 2x, let me hit Tab again. 2x, hit Enter, and then the other one's going to be negative x plus 12. So hit Tab, negative x plus 12, hit Enter. Okay, I cannot see the intersection point, so I'm going to hit Menu. Windows Zoom is 4, and then I'm going to click Zoom Out 4, and then I'm just going to keep hitting Enter until I can see it. And I need to, okay, so right here. So I can see this, right? Now then I'm going to hit Menu, and then Analyze Graph is 6. I want the intersection point 4, and then I got to drag this, don't I? Okay, so I'm going to drag it over here, and this right here is my intersection point. So 4, 8 is my intersection point. If y'all have trouble with this, ask your neighbor how to help you to drag those intersection points. So 4, 8 is the answer to that problem. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to write my number 4. I'm going to write down 4, 8. And I'm going to look for 4, 8. It's right here, which is H and E. So number 1 right here will be H and E. And the answer is going to be, why does the president put vegetables in his blender? I don't know. You'll find out, okay? So on all these problems, I'm going to leave this real quick. If you want to pause, get all of those answers down. You'll graph them and get the intersection point. Some of them will be fractional answers, as you can see in the answers. So just go through and you'll figure that out, okay? The next piece of paper, fun, fun, fun. We're going to continue doing the same thing. There's 12 more you got to graph. You have to solve them for y. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to go through and solve these for y. Remember, the x flips, the y goes on the bottom. The x flips, the y goes on the bottom. So we're going to move the 5x over, and the negative 2 goes on the bottom. So y equal negative 5x plus 4 all over negative 2. The x flips, the y goes on the bottom, so y equals negative x plus 8 over 2. Keep going. The x flips, the y goes on the bottom, so y equals 3x plus 11 all over 2. The x flips, the y goes on the bottom, y equal negative 3x minus 19 over negative 4. All of these, I think, are in standard on this one. The x flips. On this one, we don't have anything in front of the y. So y equal negative 3x plus 13. The x flips. We don't have anything in front of y. So y equals negative x plus 3. Fun, fun, fun. On this one, the x flips. The y goes on the bottom. So y equal negative 6x plus 10 all over negative 2. The x flips. The y goes on the bottom. So y equals negative x minus 5 over negative 2. Continuing on. A few more. We got to do 12 of these. Fun, fun, fun. Okay, so the x flips. There's nothing in front of y, so y equals negative 5x plus 2. On this one right here, the x flips. The y goes on the bottom. So y equals negative 5x plus 14 all over negative 3. Continuing on, the x flips, the y goes on the bottom. Y equal negative 7x minus 10 over negative 4. On this one right here, all we got to do is put the y on the bottom. So y equals x minus 2 all over 4. On the next one, the x is over here, so we got to get the y all by itself. So the negative 9 goes on the bottom, and the 5 will flip. So write down y equal, the x doesn't change, the 5 switches to minus 5, and the minus 9 goes on the bottom. Kind of tricky because the y's on the wrong side. This one right here, the x flips, the y goes on the bottom. So y equals negative 4x minus 7 all over 9. Continuing on, this is another problem. The 9's going to flip, the 5's going to go on the bottom. So y equal the 3x won't change. The opposite of minus 9 is plus 9 all over the y goes on the bottom. Continuing on this one right here, you just got to divide by 2. So y equals 3x plus 3 all over 2. Fun, fun, fun. Going to number 9. The x flips, the y goes on the bottom. So y equals negative x minus 2 all over 2. The x flips, the y goes on the bottom. Y equals negative 4x minus 17 all over 2. The x flips, the y goes on the bottom. Y equals 6x plus 20 over negative 5. On this one right here, all we got to do is divide by negative 1. So y equals 6x plus 4 over negative 1. Number 11, the x flips. We don't have anything in front of y. So y equals 3x minus 2. On the next one, the y's on the wrong side. Let's see. The 7x is going to flip, and this minus 1 will go on the bottom. This is kind of tricky. Okay, so we're going to write down y equal negative 7x minus 2 all over negative 1. Continuing on, the y's right here. So all we got to do is take this 3 and move it to the bottom, don't we? So y equals 10x minus 5 over 3. All we're trying to do is solve these for y. The next problem, you're going to move the 3x over, divide by the negative 3. So y equal negative 2x plus 1 over negative 3. Okay, now then, same thing. You're going to graph both of these lines as is. You're going to find the intersection point, and these down here are your answers. And what does it say? Solve each system by the addition method, or just solve them by graphing, okay? Find your answer below and cross out the letter above it. So you're going to cross out the letter above it. When you finish, the answer will be remain. So what kind of shoes does a frog wear? That's what you'll get down here after you scratch out all the answers, okay? Fun, fun, fun. So remember, what you're doing is you are reviewing how to find the answer to a system of equations by graphing the two lines. It's very tedious. You got to solve the equations for y, and then you're going to graph them and find the intersection point. Remember, you are amazing. You are created to do wonderful things, and you are awesome.